Welcome to Soul Rising. We're your hosts, Amy and Erin. We're two everyday mediums who are passionate about taking the woo-woo out of spirituality and bringing it down to earth. So put the kettle on, grab a chair, and join us.
Hey everyone.
Hello. Wow, sorry.
Hello.
That was a strong energy.
Happy almost Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Maybe that's
Shout
why I have
out.
a strong energy. I don't know.
Maybe shout out to love.
To love.
Whoever it is that you love, including yourself. More of that, please.
Yeah.
In 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 61. Here we are. We are going to talk today about highly sensitive people.
Yes.
So I'm sure many people have heard this term now. It seems like it's commonly used in this kind of day and age. Some people will just say HSP. So if you ever see somebody go, I'm an HSP.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, It's highly sensitive person. So firstly, before we get started, off the bat, do you resonate? Like, would you feel like you're a highly sensitive person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably in like all the ways too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. In like every way, like physically, environmentally.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Consciously, mentally, all of it. I'm sensitive in all ways. Yes. Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah.
I've always resonated that way. Interestingly enough, like I always thought like, okay, well, if you're an empath, you're probably also a HSP.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a huge correlation with those,
Yes.
but they don't have to be hand in hand. Something I also learned in doing the research for today, I kind of would assume that, yeah, and I am correct in the assumption that the majority of highly sensitive people would resonate or identify as being introverted, but there's still a big chunk that would be extroverted. I think it's like 70-30. So it doesn't have to make, introverted and quiet, but I mean, look at us, because I think that we are true, like ambiverts.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say?
Yeah, I would agree.
Are you an ambivert?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think at the core of it, I am more introverted than not, because I thrive on that alone time and I need it to recharge.
Yeah.
I think the difference between extrovert and introvert, is that extroverts get recharged with interaction from people and introverts recharge from interaction with self.
Yeah.
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 But I can be quite extroverted around certain people.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it flows. It can do both ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense actually with a highly sensitive person, because we feel the energy. Therefore, we respond to the energy.
Oh my God. Well,
right?
we talk about all the time where we get on sometimes I'm either exhausted from the readings or I'm on a high.
You're high.
Like I am now. Like
It's
I have a
dependent
wild
on the
energy
energy
right
of
now.
the person, perhaps.
Yes.
Or even the spirit person, because the spirit person's personality comes through.
Yes.
Clearly. And
Very
some
true.
people, I just did a reading 2 weeks ago, I think, and a mediumship, I connected to two different specific people. Sorry, the first one was, I think it was lively, but so she even noted, the client, because when I switched to the second spirit person, she's like, because my energy all of a sudden was like that, right?
Shifted.
And she's like, whoa, so different.
Yes.
And I'm like, it's them.
Yes.
They're so different.
Yeah. Sometimes, do you ever catch yourself, if you're doing readings, where you're talking loud?
Yeah.
And either, I don't know, sometimes I make the joke of I'm talking over spirit because I feel like maybe they're coming through and I'm talking. But I also just think maybe that's just the,
they were a loud talker?
They were a loud talker, or it's just me, it's my interpretation of how I'm reacting to the energy.
Yeah.
Because I catch myself and I'm like, I'm talking fast and loud.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and I think because sometimes it's just coming in so quick and you're like, okay, I got to give all this information in. Are you understanding me? Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens and it's, yeah.
So I have another question too, before I get kind of into the definition of highly sensitive people.
Yeah.
Do you know what your Myers-Briggs personality type is?
Oh gosh. I should.
It either starts with an I or an E.
I don't know. How do you find, like, do I just enter? No.
So you can search for Myers-Briggs personality test. This is something, it's funny because as I was doing the research, I'm like, I should tell Erin to find out what hers is if she doesn't know. And you can do that as I'm talking. I bring that up because in my research, I found that there is a correlation. So highly sensitive people tend to be an INFP or an INFJ in Myers-Briggs personality. I am an INFP. Not surprising. My daughter is an INFJ. That's said to be the most rare type of the Myers-Briggs personality. So I'll just put that on out there as we go in case you guys know your Myers-Briggs personality type already. If not, I'll add it in the show notes of how you can figure that out. But there is a correlation between highly sensitive people and the INFP or the INFJ.
Interesting.
Type.
Okay.
Yes. And like I said, I am INFP.
Okay.
And it's like you can retest and you can get a different result at times. Like for the most part, it should stay similar-ish, right? But like there has been times where I have got an INFJ result.
Okay.
But more often than not, it's INFP. So it's dependent on where you are in your life or in your own growth and based on the answers that you are given. So about 15 to 20% of the population is highly sensitive. And there are equal numbers of both male and female. So it's not just like a female, women are more sensitive than men. It seems to be equally distributed between the sexes. It's an innate trait. So it's kind of, yes, it's personality, but it's beyond that. Like it is a biological thing. It's innately in your DNA. Biologists have found this highly sensitive trait in over 100 species so far. So it's not just humans.
Okay.
Which I think is really, really interesting. So what is a highly sensitive person? Someone whose brain processes all information very deeply, including emotions, thoughts, and sensory input. And this can make them more physically sensitive, emotionally sensitive than other people, perhaps. There are many strengths, right? A lot of people perceive this with a negative flair at times. You know, we've all heard of being so sensitive is both a blessing and a curse. To feel all the things is about the blessing and a curse.
Yep.
Let's talk about some of the strengths, though, with a highly sensitive person. Highly sensitive people tend to excel at creativity, empathy, and the ability to notice things that others miss. And they make connections that others may not see.
Yeah.
According to Linda Silverman, who is the director of the Gifted Developmental Center, high sensitivity is linked to giftedness. So to us. It's funny because one thing I was reading too is highly sensitive people are not more emotionally intelligent than others, but they process it differently. So it's more to do with the processing of external stimuli. The trade-off, so this would be more like maybe the more negative spin of having these gifts, is that the sensitive mind can become overworked easily, which makes highly sensitive people prone to becoming overstimulated or emotionally overloaded. So there's a high correlation with anxiety with us highly sensitive folks. Makes sense if you're feeling everything so deeply and you're picking up on all these connections all the time and you're overstimulated in some way, like the tag is bugging you on your clothes. All the ways, the smell of something, everything is being felt and perceived deeply. So it makes sense that would become overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
And then it could manifest with anxiety, because if you think about, you know, every time you're around other people or you're in a certain situation, you might perceive like, okay, well, I can't control what I'm going to feel or what I'm going to sense because I feel it all. Then that's overwhelming to me. So therefore you almost build up an anxious kind of thought process about, because I guess there would be a lack of control over
what
how much you're going to pick up on. Now I can talk a little bit about this because I talk a bit with my clients about energetic boundaries. And so we can talk about this as we go, because I feel like it will be pretty helpful for anyone who's listening that also resonates with being a highly sensitive person.
Yes, please.
So highly sensitive people, I think this is interesting because it kind of, I was thinking about this in our last episode when we were talking about UFOs, and like just how there is potentially a prejudice around people that experience things that are like outside of the norm.
Yeah.
Right. And how really probably those things are more common than one thinks. Like, I think you and I believe that mediumship is kind of something that everyone could tap into, right?
Yeah.
So it's more common than you think, but it's just, I think that people don't recognize the signs, or they don't talk about it, or there's some sort of stigma or some sort of conditioning around it. So the reason I bring that up is because highly sensitive people often feel like they're rare, or that they're alone, that they are different than everyone else. I certainly relate to this. I always felt like I was way more sensitive than anybody else, and I felt everything more than everybody else. I really would not have known the stats that they're actually not that rare.
No.
Research stats say they're not that rare. Some say 1 in 3 people are highly sensitive people.
What?
So, yeah. So some things I saw was 15 to 20%, or 1 in 4. Some say 1 in 3, but even so, it's not as rare as you would think.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that,
yeah,
gets the wheels thinking. So perhaps it's just that our society has taught us to hide,
I think,
or not value.
Yeah, highly sensitive
traits.
That. Well, I mean, there's always that. Remember when we hear, like things like, don't cry, or you're not supposed to show your emotions, right? Like,
grow a thick skin.
Toughen up.
Yeah.
And like, you can be emotionally vulnerable, but also be tough.
I think sometimes you're more tough because you're emotionally vulnerable.
I think there's that. Sorry, this is off topic, but there's the New Zealand Prime Minister, right? She's stepping down, and now there's all this backlash, and she's like, probably had to deal with all that because she's a woman, right? And she's either too tough, too sensitive,
too this or too that.
Yeah. And there's a quote from her.
That's what I've learned. You're never going to make everybody happy.
No.
You're never going to be everybody's cup of tea. You're really not. And so at the end of the day, it matters about what you think about yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Well, you're going to piss somebody off no matter what you do.
So just be yourself.
Yeah.
Learn, grow, evolve, like what,
Yeah.
Just go with the motion,
I found that very interesting though. So I'm like,
that is really interesting.
Yeah, I always felt alone in it, or kind of like nobody else feels this much. Not as rare as one would say. And like I said, equal stats between the sexes. So just as many males as females are highly sensitive.
Yeah.
And you can see that even in
the
conditioning with men.
Yes.
Right? And like underneath it all.
Yeah.
How important it is for talking and to have emotions. And that would be really tough.
Yeah. Well, when I was working I was working as a boarding school, at a boarding school. And I was working with all boys. And that one was really important. Like that was very, like a thing that I brought awareness in my own work was that, they're going through a lot of stuff, and some of them were just taught I got to toughen up. I got to have a thick skin. And so it was really important that, we as counselors, like we're able to provide a space for that vulnerability for everybody, whether they were male, female, or however they identified. Right.
Yeah.
And so, it was all about trying to be more inclusive, and that was like a big topic of discussion, especially around the male men and society, and how
we have work to do.
We've work to do there.
We do. Yeah. So I found that was one of my kind of most interesting tidbits I found was, just that it really isn't that rare. And also that, equal numbers of male and female, and even in different species. I was reading something about the study they did with fish, right? And that certain fish were extra sensory, like perceptive of temperatures and chemicals and things in the water, and like knew where to go. Like they were just more sensitive to their environment. And other ones are like, like, that's really nothing happening
there.
So I thought that was really interesting. So there's also a profound difference in the highly sensitive brain. If you're a highly sensitive person, you likely have more activity in areas related to empathy, emotion, and reading social cues, as well as the part of the brain known as the seat of consciousness,
Ooh.
especially when you're in social situations. This suggests that highly sensitive people are highly alert and very tuned in to the people around them. It would not surprise me if there is some sort of research. If there isn't, I feel like we should do it on people that are psychic or mediums.
Yeah.
And highly sensitive. You know,
That would be
if they are
really...
highly sensitive, I would imagine every single one is.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Like I've done my own kind of correlation in like the clients that I serve, the other mediums that I know through this work. Commonality I found with every single one is lived experiences of anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Like overstimulation or being overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yes.
Being able to tune in to everything.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, I didn't do research on this, but maybe it's somewhere we could go in a future episode. It is of personal interest to me as I do have a diagnosis of ADHD and have a child with ADHD. But
right.
I have read before that there might be some correlation with people that are maybe really tuned into this seat of consciousness, right? Or extrasensory perception.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe ADHD is connected to that. I remember seeing something that was like, ADHD should really be called attention dialed into a higher dimension.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I like that too.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because when you think of it, it's just a different way of, your brain is just processing things differently. Right?
That's all it is. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. So I've got some websites here. So there is a website I'll link in the show notes called HSP. So HSperson. So HSPERSON.com. There's a Dr. Elaine Erin on here. So the highly sensitive person. And there is a, so this is really, looks like it's kind of through the lens of, is your child highly sensitive? But one could fill this in for yourself and, it wouldn't make any difference, but there's a checklist.
That's cool.
So you can just check off questions like, I'm easily overwhelmed by strong sensory input. I tend to be aware of subtleties in my environments. I tend to be very sensitive to pain. And you just kind of click it off and it would tell you whether or not, you are
that's cool.
a highly sensitive person or not. So I will include that, the shperson.com. I also found a website called the highlysensitiverefuge.com.
Oh, that's
which
cool.
I like. That's cool. And I took some of the information I've already given, but there is kind of 21 signs you're a highly sensitive person. So let's go through them quickly. Erin and I will quickly give a yes or a no.
Okay, I'm ready.
If we feel that way about ourselves.
Okay.
Number 1, you absolutely abhor violence and cruelty of any kind.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding. Yes, honestly. I don't even like to watch horror. I think you like horror.
I like horror, but I don't like gore.
Right.
I like the mystery,
So
the supernatural.
Suspense.
Yeah. The suspense
I don't mind
part.
suspense or like something's kind of, there's a difference with horror and like suspense though for me. I don't know what it is really, but like.
Yeah, I mean, you can watch a suspenseful film and it's not a horror film. Right.
I'm also somebody, if I mute it, I'm okay for the most part.
Yeah.
If I mute the TV, I'm like, okay, I can get through this episode of Criminal Minds. I can.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some things that I just like, I can't.
You can't.
Cruelty of animals, if there's any, even like a suggestion.
No go.
Can't.
No go for me.
No.
Yeah. So that makes sense for me. So both of us were yes. You're frequently emotionally exhausted from absorbing other people's feelings. And then you're going to add on that we're mediums and we are literally feeling we're channeling. Yeah, we're literally channeling their emotions. So yes, time pressure really rattles you more so than others. Me, yeah. That's my biggest stressor is feeling rushed.
It's feeling rushed.
Or like feeling that somebody, even if they don't say anything, feeling like they're getting annoyed.
Yes.
Because I'm taking too long or I'm not there yet. Yes, that will really stress me.
Yeah.
So it just says, in school, time quizzes or speed tests would make you extremely anxious. As an adult, you may have too many things on your to-do list and not enough time to finish them. Therefore, you become very stressed. It's just time is an extra.
the thing.
stressor,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
more so than the average person. You withdraw often. I do. I do.
I try to as much as I can.
You know, though, like I do try, I'm conscious of it because my natural MO, I'll say,
Yeah.
is like, because my friends know, like my lifelong friends know, they're like, I haven't heard from Amy in a month. She's going through an existential crisis, right? Because I just isolate. Anytime
Yeah.
I'm going through something, you won't hear from me for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah.
And some of the listeners, you know, you might even like notice that in social media. Like there might be a week where I'm not posting very much. There's something going on with me. And then I'll post a lot at once.
Yeah. That's like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're jumpy. Holy shit, Ola, I am jumpy. I don't know about you.
Yes. It's really easy to
startle
scare
very
me.
easy. Very. And Scott is a startler. Like he will do it on purpose.
Scott.
There was this video. I actually just saw it the other day, and it made me laugh because I remember when it came out. It was like a compilation of a husband scaring a wife, and he like laughed because she was so jumpy that he recorded it and then they made it into a compilation. And I sent it to Scott, and he was like, "Oh my god, that's us!" And I'm like, "Yeah." Because it blows his mind because he's like, who do you think it is? You know, I'm in the next room. Why are you so scared when I walk in? And I'm like, I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know. I'm not thinking about it. So it's just they have a high startle reflex because even in non-threatening situations, their nervous systems are dialed up.
There's that anxiety.
I think it's like an old byproduct of days gone by where we had to be on high alert. I was reading something once that was kind of talking about like, let's get rid of the stigma or judgment prejudice about people that are night owls, because I feel like our society is all like, oh, early bird gets the worm, and it's all like that's great, and if you're a night owl you're kind of dysfunctional in some way.
Yeah, it's
right. I'm a night
ridiculous.
owl. Like,
yeah,
it is ridiculous. But if this person, it might have been like a Twitter kind of thing that went viral, but I had kind of in it, the person was like, you got to think about the caveman days. Somebody had to stay up around the fire all night.
Yeah.
Somebody was watching out
to make
right?
sure.
Like there's a season for everything. There's a reason. But you know, maybe we were maybe us high startlers, we kept everybody alive because we were able to sense when danger was coming.
Yeah,
I don't know, there's a positive for you.
Always watching out for those dinosaurs.
I was thinking more bear, but okay.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm prehistoric times. Sorry.
Yeah, there was no people back then.
Wasn't there? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Oh, maybe not.
I've
seen too many movies.
Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
You think deeply is number 6.
Yes.
Deeply. The cornerstone of being a highly sensitive person is that you process information deeply. Unfortunately, this also means that you're prone to negative overthinking, right? Because, and I was reading I was listening to a podcast, somebody talking about this the other day. When you process things deeply, when you think deeply, you know, you could, maybe somebody might think like, oh, like she's slow or something, right? Like, or she's like, why just make a decision?
Yeah.
But when you're processing it that deeply, it's hard for you to just make a decision.
You're thinking about all the factors.
Is it hard for you to make a decision, or has it been?
Oh, I'm super indecisive.
Me too. I feel like I'm getting better at it though, since I've been listening to my inner knowing, because that's like, it's like that's always going to be truthful for me. So it helps me get out of the overthinking.
Yeah.
But I still catch myself in it.
Yeah. You know what it is? I'm better at making decisions for others.
Yes.
When it comes to myself, I'm like hemming and hawing and.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
You're a seeker. Obviously. We are seekers.
The truth is out there.
They seek answers to the big questions in life. They ask why things are the way that they are. If you're a highly sensitive person, you may have always wondered why other people aren't as captivated by the mysteries of human nature and the universe as you are. Hello, we just recorded a UFO episode. We want to know why.
If it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Number 8, I think this kind of goes in with the startle, because it just said sudden loud noises startle you. Yes. Your clothing matters. You're sensitive to what you wear, in the sense that like scratchy or clothing might not be.
I can't wear wool. Is that like other people?
I overheat, and I love sweaters, and I continue to buy sweaters, and then I'm like, what was I thinking? Because I overheat and everything, and then it gets itchy, and I won't wear it.
You overheat. I get cold.
Oh,
I'm
I
cold
get too hot.
everywhere.
I'm hot all the time.
You're like Alex. Alex is he's a heater. Like the other day,
Yeah,
we were
I'm a
cuddling.
heater.
I was like, "What is so hot? Oh, it's your leg. You're hot. You're like an oven."
Yeah,
Because it
no,
literally felt
no.
like something would.
My hands get cold a lot, but
Hands
like,
get cold. My nose gets cold. My feet get cold.
I'm gonna laugh so much that you just said that, because I was just gonna share a really funny story, and it had to do with that. When Scott and I first started dating, we went for a drive. I remember it was the summer, but I think it was like later evening, so it's starting to cool off. And I hadn't brought like a really light hoodie or anything because it was the summer. It had been really hot in the day. And I remember I kept like either rolling the window up or rolling it down, and he was like, "Oh my god, can you just freaking like just stay with it, right? Like, is it open or is it shut?" And I was like, right, and I was like, well, and I think I must have named off like, this is cold, but this is hot. And so he always says, "My nose is cold, my arms are hot," because that's what I said, right? I was like, I can't, because this is cold and this is hot, so I'm just like, I have to adjust the window. It's funny that you brought up the nose, because I'm like, yes. Funny enough, I always have to be barefoot though. I'm not barefoot right now. I have slippers on.
Yeah,
but no socks.
I like to be barefoot as well.
Me too.
Yeah.
So yeah, just, you don't maybe like things too restrictive. I know that I can wear a cowl neck like this, but I can't wear a turtleneck or a mock neck, because that will drive me crazy.
It'll drive you nuts.
Your pain tolerance is less. I don't know. I've been told I have a high pain tolerance.
Yeah, I've had a lot of like dental surgeries, and I've had tattoos, and
yeah. Like, I've had 2 babies with no drugs.
And you, you win. That's it.
I did think I was going to die both times. I shared that with you before, but like, I lived it. But the reason I've been told that I have a high tolerance for pain, this is not bragging rights, because it's actually really stupid. I tend to let things go for a long time. Like, soon after I had my last baby, I was having gallbladder attacks. Now, those of you who've had that, it's like,
it's painful, right?
It's really painful. And actually, the doctor that saw me months and months and months later said, you have a very high tolerance, because most people are in here asking for morphine when they have their first.
Yeah.
So I was having these, and I just kind of just kept letting it go. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I just like wasn't seeking help for it until finally I had I don't know why I'm talking about this, but there was a stone blocked. So then I got sick. I actually was.
So you were forced to go.
I was moving into sepsis. And that's actually a spirit story in itself, because a friend of mine who I've talked about before, who we had our last pregnancies at the very same time. And after that pregnancy that she had, she realized that she was a medium. Yeah. I've talked about her before, I think.
Yes.
She actually messaged me on this day. So our babies were like 4 months old.
Wow.
I think she texted me, and she's like, "Are you feeling okay?" And I said, "No, why?" And she goes, "I think you should go to the hospital." And I was like, "Why?" And she goes, "You have an infection." And I was like, "I think I do." And I said, "I think I'm going to ask a sign. Like, something needs to dramatically happen that's not life-threatening, and then I'll go."
Yeah.
Because the idea of sitting in an ER with a 4-month-old baby, I was just like, no, thank you. Now that would be even worse, because the ER situation is so bad. So bad. But at the time, I'm like, it has to be bad for me to make this choice. So long story short, I'm not going to tell you what happened, but something happened. I was like, oh my God, this is not normal. I need to go to the hospital. And the doctor was like, you have a very high tolerance for pain. So I don't know about this pain tolerance is less. And maybe we just feel all the little aches and pains. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean that we always follow up on it. Maybe, I don't know. Your inner world is alive and present. Heck yes. Vividly realistic dreams. Yes. Yeah. Change can be extremely upsetting. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes your environment is your enemy. So to clarify what they're seeing, similarly, moving to a new home or traveling can be quite difficult sometimes because your senses are bombarded with new stimuli. Okay. You can be misunderstood. You're often called shy or anxious, or perhaps it is implied that something is wrong with you. Many HSPs are labeled as introverts because introverts and HSPs share so many similar characteristics. However, about 30% of HSPs are actually extroverts. So, misunderstood. Oh, Erin, you're going to laugh at this because earlier today, Erin told me that she was this.
What?
You get hangry easily.
This is why I have a chocolate bar.
Yeah.
You're angry. Have Snickers. Sorry.
So your nervous system is so it says when your nervous system is already ratcheted up to the highest level, some HSPs are sensitive to caffeine and need very little of it to feel its buzz. Similarly, many HSPs are also sensitive to alcohol. I have become more so in the last couple of years to the point where I can't really drink anymore. I think I shared this with you. I get hives. Now, do you think there's something physically behind that?
I've heard that with others, that they can't, like, wine specifically is like they can't have it. Because it gets them. So. Yeah.
Are you sensitive to caffeine?
If I have like too much of it, and also like I can have maybe 2 cups, but 2 cups is like I don't never really finish it.
Yeah, like 1.5.
1.5. Yeah.
I'm like that too. I am sensitive in the sense that I will not drink anything caffeinated after 2 p.m.
Yeah, I can't do that.
If I do, I will not be able to sleep that night.
I can't do that.
So I think that means that we're sensitive to caffeine.
Yeah, and also if I have it, I don't feel great.
Okay.
Like I physically feel kind of nauseous, and it's like, so I don't want this.
Really?
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
Do you have coffee every day or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
But if I have more, I get nauseous.
Yeah. Conflict is your poison. I know I am very conflict avoidant. It's getting easier.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
In general,
I don't like
conflict.
I avoid it. Yeah, you know what? No, I lied. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, because we often are each other's sounding board. We're like, oh, what should I do in this situation with this person?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Criticism is a dagger. Words really matter to highly sensitive people. Mm-hmm. Positive words can make them soar, and harsh words can send them crashing to the ground.
Yes, I do. I do like positive reinforcement. It helps me.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah.
You're conscientious. You try hard not to make mistakes. Doesn't mean you're perfect, but you are always giving your best effort. I think that I always try to give my best effort. Mm-hmm. Certainly don't go into something thinking, I'm going to do this half-ass. We talked about this before. We're like, we're always going to give our full ass.
Yeah.
No ass. No in between. No half-ass.
We go full ass.
None or full. That's it. That's how I work. You're deeply moved by beauty. I would say yes. Yeah. Sunset lover.
Nature.
Yeah. Nature, all those things. You're perceptive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it says, okay, I'm an HSP. What should I do?
What? Tell me. Website?
So, yeah, right. It just says, some potential pitfalls to help you mentally prepare to handle them when they pop up. Hectic days can be a pitfall for people like us. Do you give us any? I don't think they're giving us any
tools, tips,
solutions here, but this is a pitfall. Being hectic, overstimulated, overwhelmed, interpersonal conflict, expectations and comparisons, and failure.
Yeah.
These are the pitfalls. Okay, so here's some tips. If a hectic day exhausts you, pad time into your schedule to rest between events. Within reason, give yourself a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I try to prepare, right? So you're not, if you, for me, being rushed makes me feel very stressed out. So I have to, for the most part, I would try to prepare to not be rushed.
Yeah, as much as possible.
Giving myself ample time to, stay away from things that cause you under stress, like a horror movie. Or that coworker that always saps your emotional energy. Be choosy with who you're spending time with.
Oh, yeah. And that has gotten extra real as you get older. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Learn to say no. Hello. This is the things we're learning, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it is extra work or extra plans or your own expectations, teach yourself to say no to things and be okay with it.
Yes. I agree.
Create a soothing space. Make your home, or at least a room in it, a space
cozy,
that you feel calm and safe. Yeah, hike.
Hooga.
Hooga. Why did I say hike?
You should check out that episode if you didn't listen to it.
Yes, I liked that episode, actually. So yeah, there's some highly sensitive people stuff. I was hoping I'm just going to refresh my Amazon page here.
Oh, it didn't come yet.
It's been delivered, Erin.
Oh, you guys.
I need to go upstairs.
We got to stay tuned for the next episode?
No?
You're going to do it now?
Yeah, we can do it the next episode. The reason I was bringing this up is because through a weird synchronicity, we'll just call it that.
Yeah.
Without going too deep into this. This was something I think I suggested recently to Erin. Hey, like, what about an episode about highly sensitive people? I feel like most of our listeners probably are highly sensitive people. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Okay, continue.
Yeah. And then soon after that, I'm kind of going full circle. Well, and then we're going to end, but I'm going to, I will talk about why I'm bringing up this Amazon order. So soon after that, I saw this specific obituary for a young woman being shared by multiple Facebook friends. I didn't know her, but for whatever reason, it just kept popping up on my feed. And I'm like, oh, so young, her picture. I could tell she was young. She probably was my age or younger. And then I ended up suggested page or whatever on Facebook for this metaphysical shop. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I start looking at it. And then that page shared this person's obituary on it because she had been a longstanding customer of this page. And I'm like, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Something's happening here. Little coinkydinks happening. So then I ended up looking into this lady a little bit further simply by Googling her name.
Yeah.
Turns out she was a psychologist, a practicing psychologist. Who unfortunately, I obviously passed away recently at a young age after a experience with cancer. And so I thought, this is interesting. Just like why
things are kind of
and and so when I looked at her page, the last thing that she had ever posted, I'm assuming maybe before
things got escalated or what? DS.
Yeah, maybe.
You don't know.
She posted a card from the Empaths Empowerment deck. So it is like set up like an oracle deck in the sense that there's cards that you shuffle and pull, but there's no guidebook because it's not like a traditional reading. It's more like pull a card for some sort of guidance for the day or something to think about, food for thought. And so it's for empaths and highly sensitive people. Then I go on to end up seeing in that same page a podcast episode that she was a guest on not that long ago. And in it, she talked about highly sensitive people.
Yeah.
And so today, even though I don't know this lady, I do feel like the universe, through a series of synchronicities, wanted to connect us. So I want to dedicate this episode to her.
Yeah.
Without giving her name.
Yeah.
In her memory. And I do want to share quickly that when I was listening to this podcast where she was talking about highly sensitive people, she gave an acronym for highly sensitive people, and I thought it was really insightful. And so I just kept it. I typed it up in my notes on my phone as I was listening because I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
The acronym is DOES, so DOES.
That's really,
And so D is depth of processing, so deep processing and connecting things. O, overstimulation, overstimulated nervous system. E, emotional reactivity, so having a huge range of emotions / empathy, being sensitive to others' moods, their energy, more active mirror neurons. I think that's
something,
what I heard. But something in the brain, right? Which they did talk about the brain of a highly sensitive person being profoundly different in certain areas. And then S is sensing subtleties, so sensing changes and just little tiny subtle things. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can tell if I'm talking to somebody, I can tell if there's been a shift somehow. Or maybe the person doesn't like what I've said or they don't agree with me. Their face doesn't change and they don't say that they don't agree, but you can feel it. Yeah. So that was something that she shared and I thought it was cool. And I was like, cool, I can remember DOES. DOES. I can remember that. So I was hoping that this deck would have been delivered in time for the start of this episode, but it wasn't.
Technically, isn't it here? The deck?
Well, yeah, it's upstairs. Well, it says it's been delivered. But you know what? Stay tuned for next week.
Yeah. I mean, technically it was, but we're just giving everybody a little carrot.
Yeah, a carrot of how that came about, right?
Yeah.
So
In memory of
in memory of her.
And her work.
And yeah, sorry. Did you have anything to say?
No.
Did anything surprise you today? Was there anything that was like, oh?
No, actually, that all sounded cool. Very. But you know what? I did that Myers-Briggs thing.
Oh, you did?
And I felt so bad because I'm like kind of looking at my phone. I'm trying to.
No, don't worry.
But I have to pay for the answers.
Oh my God! What website did you go to?
I was the first one on Google. It was that's a rookie mistake.
We'll update in the show notes. What is Erin's Myers-Briggs personality? Yeah, no, there's definitely free tests because I've done them multiple times. I've done it like for my husband as well. And it's funny because other than the I, so the I stands for introverted.
Yeah.
Other than that, everything else is the complete
opposite.
Very opposite people, personalities.
Be a balance.
Let's do a little plug for something that's coming next month. An episode that's coming potentially in the works.
Oh, yes. It's the same thing I'm thinking of, right? It's our
spouses. We are working at potentially having them on an episode.
Yes.
So we're going to pick their brains. I want to put a shout out. We will put this out in some capacity on our social media. So please, if you're not already following us, it's the Intuitive Rising and Soul Work, WRK for work. What do you want to hear? Like, what questions? Do you have any questions that you would love to hear from the spouse of a digital medium? Maybe you're somebody that is really spiritual, really energy sensitive. Maybe you have a spouse that's totally like, that's kind of weird, right? Like, what do you have a question for us about how we've navigated or how they've navigated
from their perspective, how it's been for them? Yeah. I hope they agree to it.
I hope so too.
I think we can twist it. I think we can twist and pull their arms.
I think so. I think they will.
I think they'll do it.
Let's manifest it, and let's. That's a little segue for next week, episode 62, where we talk about some manifestation stuff, and I will share in the next episode from this empath empowerment deck.
Whee! So excited!
Okay.
Thanks, all. Bye.
Bye.
If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and tune in each week as we dish on all things spiritual.
Don't forget to like, comment on what you would like to hear us talk about next, and subscribe.